In this series of video, I am going to discuss how we can build APIs with help of Express and TypeScript. In my previous video, I have already discussed how we can build Express APIs, but it was in JavaScript. And most of the big companies, they use TypeScript. And even I have used TypeScript for more than 5 years. Now I decided it is a good time to make a course on how we are going to use Express with help of TypeScript. Now, this is not going to be a simple project in which we are going to write the Express API and we are just going to use the type definition. Like say for example, request and response. They have some types, right? So what we are going to do, we are simply not going to use those type definitions, but instead we are going to build a full-fledged framework. Okay. Now, what do I mean by a framework? See, in many big companies, what happens? They create a particular project structure to meet their need. Okay. Now there are ready-made frameworks in the market, like say for example Nest.js, but there could be some issues for using Nest.js. Like there could be licensing issue, there could be a learning curve for the developers, right? There could be deployment issues, there could be a number of issues, right? So usually what companies do, they prefer to build their own framework. Okay, now what do I mean by framework? Don't take it like literal framework like Nest.js. What I mean by a framework is a set of rules they define as to how to write the controller or how to connect to the database, right? So a base project setup is always available with companies, and whichever team they want to implement a API, they will clone that particular repository and they will use that particular format. Okay, so that particular format is used across the company, right? So we are going to do something similar here. We are going to take Express and we are going to use TypeScript and we are going to build a mini framework, a sort of framework in which we are going to define a particular way of creating controllers, okay, or how we can create different routes like get route or post routes, right, and how to connect to database, right? So this is not going to be a simple project in which we are going to just simply add the type definition. We are going to use full object oriented approach, okay, and we are going to use lots of TypeScript principles. Okay, say for example reflection and reflection metadata. We are also heavily going to use dependency injection, and also we are heavily going to use decorators. We are going to use class decorators, we are going to use method decorators as well as parameter decorators. Okay, so we are going to build a full-fledged framework in which we will have our own way of writing controllers, our own way of connecting to the database. Now coming to the database, what database we are going to use? So in my previous videos I have used MongoDB. In this video I am going to use a relational database, that is Postgres, and I am going to use type ORM to connect to the database. And here I'll also show you how you can create migrations and run migration. What are migrations, how you write migration, how you run migrations, everything we will check. Now this is not going to be a beginner level course, right? So say for example, if you are writing first time JavaScript code, right, then this course is not for you. Or if you are writing Express code for the first time, then also this is not for you, right? If you are writing TypeScript code for the first time, then also this course is not for you, right? You should have minimum basic understanding of TypeScript, okay, and minimum understanding of Express, right? How we create Express, how the app listens on port, right? How to create middlewares, how to do error handling, right? So these are bare minimum that you should be aware of, right? Now coming to TypeScript, what things you should be aware of? You should be very thorough on the object-oriented programming principles, right? On top of that, you should be familiar with dependency injection, okay, the concept of dependency injection and how we do dependency injection, right? I have already made course on this dependency injection in detail, and there I showed how we can create our own dependency injection containers, right? In this course, we are not going to use that particular example. We are going to use the ready-made containers available from the NPM package that we are going to use here, right? We are also going to heavily rely on decorators, class decorators, function decorators, and method decorators. So you should be thoroughly familiar with this, right? So I have already made course on all these topics. I strongly recommend, if you are not aware or if you are not familiar with these topics, you should watch those videos first, right? And then you should come. So this is basically a practical implementation of all the TypeScript concepts. Now what we are going to build? See, we are going to build a simple API, okay, but understanding the concepts of API is not the important subject matter of discussion in this course. What we are more interested in is to build a scalable and reliable and stable framework, okay, on top of which we can build many more APIs or many API endpoints or a base project from which we can clone this repo and we can use it in any other project, right? So this is the main agenda here. And to be very honest, this project is highly inspired from Nest.js, right? So how Nest.js has a way of doing things, right? So it uses decorators to create controllers, or it uses decorators to create endpoints like get endpoints, post endpoints. The same thing here I have also done. So it's of course not a copy paste of the Nest.js framework. So here we are going to see how we can write a controller decorator or a get decorator. We are going to see the internal implementation, okay, and we are going to see how we can hook it to Express. And here I'm going to follow a 3-tier architecture. So controller, then we'll have a service, and then we'll have a repository layer, right? And we are going to use type ORM, and we are going to use Postgres database for our databases. And I'll show you about migrations. What are migrations? How we create migrations and how we run migrations. And also I'll show you how we can create Swagger documentation out of our APIs. Now coming to the code sharing part, okay, I'll definitely share this code with you guys, but not now. When I will share, I'll share it at the end of the series, okay? When this series will end, at that time I will create a community post or make a video and I'll share the link with you guys, okay? And I'll also come back to all the previous videos and update the description, okay? So now depends on when you're watching this video, you check the comment section. If it has a link to a repository or any download link, just follow that. If it is not there, then you might have to wait for some time because this series has not ended yet, okay? Now let's go to computer screen and do the base project setup. So what are the prerequisites for this? So you should have Node installed in your system, right? I have 24.0.0, okay, and you should also have npm installed on your system, right? So this is basically our package manager. Just select any folder, okay, and in that folder what we will do, we'll create our npm project, okay? So to mark any folder as a npm project, what we have to do, we have to do npm init-y. So this folder will be initialized as a npm project, okay? Now this is done. What we will do, I will open this in VS Code, okay? So what has happened here, a basic project setup has been done, okay? Now here what I will do, I will add, since this is going to be a TypeScript project, right? So I'll add the tsconfig file, okay? Now there are few properties that I want to add, okay? So I will say compiler option, okay? So what will be the target? I will say yes next, okay? Then few things, experimental decorators, we have to mark it as true because we are going to use decorators, right? And we are going to use emit decorator metadata. This we are going to use for reflections, right? So this also we have to mark it as true. Then module, this is going to be common.js, okay? Then I will say root dir, so it will be /src. That means this is the root directory in which all our TypeScript code will sit, okay? Then we will have out dir. So what is this out dir? This will be .dist, okay? So this is where all the transpiled JavaScript code will sit after the TypeScript has compiled or transpiled this one, right? Then I will say yes module interrupt. So this will be true, okay? So what this will do? So what this property will do? This will help us in importing from common modules, okay? So this we are going to use in few places, like when we are going to do load controllers, right? So in the course I will show you, right, where it is, how it is done, right? Now I will save this one. Then we will do few npm installations, okay? So in this video what I'm going to do, at this stage only I'm going to install all the dependency that we are going to use throughout this project, okay? Now what is the purpose of doing this? So that you will have a basic idea about what libraries and what packages we are going to use throughout this video, okay? And also it will be easy for you to follow along because you don't have to switch between installing the dependency and running the terminal, running the server, right? So what I will do, I'll do all the installation in one go, okay? So for this what I will do, I'll come to terminal, okay, and I will clear this, okay, and I'll say npm install, okay, and these are going to be big commands. What I'll do, I'll give this command in the description box so that you can directly copy, okay? So I'm going to install, okay, class transformer, okay, and class validator, then class validator, then JSON schema, okay? And when we are going to use it, so when we are going to use it, I'll tell you that, okay, this is the package that we are using, okay? Then .env, okay, then OpenAPI 3.ts. So what is this OpenAPI? This is the OpenAPI documentation standard, okay? So we are going to use Swagger and the OpenAPI standard to do the Swagger documentation for our API. then PG, that is the Postgres driver. Okay, then the reflect metadata, then Swagger UI for Express, right? Then type DI, that is the dependency injection framework, right? And type ORM. Okay, so we are going to use type ORM in this video, right? And most importantly, Express, right? So let me run this one. If there are any typos, I'll fix it. I'll give you the proper command in the description that you can directly follow. Okay, so let this run. This might take some time. So this is the regular dependency, right? After that we have dev dependency, that also I'll show you after these are being installed. Okay, so no typing error here. All the packages are installed successfully, right? Okay, so now what I will do, I will copy this command, okay, and I will paste it somewhere so that I can share it with you guys. Okay, now I will clear this screen and I will do npm install -d. Now what does this mean? This means dev dependency, right? Okay, so what we are going to do, at types / swagger UI express, and at types / express, right? At types / node, right? And we are going to use nodemon. Okay, we are going to use TypeScript and we are going to use TS node. Okay, so this is the type definition for Swagger UI, type definition for Express, and type definition for node. Then nodemon to keep our server running in the dev mode. When we change something in our file, it will automatically return the server for us, right? TypeScript, right? This is the base dependency. And what we have, TS node. So we are going to use TS node to run in the dev mode, right? So I'll show you that. Great. So this is also done. I will copy this one also. Great. Now this is done. So I will open VS Code. Okay, and here all our dependencies are already installed, right? Now few more things we will do. We will add few scripts. Okay, so I will have a build script. Okay, so what this build script will do, this will build our project. Okay, now what do I mean by build? The TypeScript will be compiled or transpiled into JS, right? So nothing, it is very simple. TSC, TypeScript compiler. Okay, so this will do the compilation. Then I will say start. Okay, what this start will do, it will use node. Okay, node from where? From dist and index.js, right? Not TS, because dist will have the compiled JavaScript versions. Okay, and I will say a dev script. Okay, and here I am going to use nodemon. Okay, and src index.ts, right? Okay, now this is also done. Now what I will do, I will create a folder and I will name it as src. Okay, and here in src I will add a new file and call it as index.ts, and here I will say console.log hello world. Okay, very simple, right? Now what I can come to the terminal, clear this, and npm run, I'll say build. Okay, so if I do this, what will happen? tsc will run and it will build. So when I come here, see, dist folder is created and here index.js is added. In the same line, what I can do, I can say npm run start. Okay, so what this will do, this will print from index.js. Okay, so this will print hello world. Okay, and I'll say npm run dev. So what this will do, this will run nodemon on dev mode. Okay, so this is in watch mode. Okay, so what will happen when I do this, when I try to update something on my TS file, say for example I add few more exclamation, as soon as I save this one, what will happen? It will immediately rerun and it will print the new value or whatever we are doing, right? So eventually it will create the Express server and it will start listening on a particular port. So this is it for this video. Here we have done the very basic project setup. Now we are going to take this project and build on it step by step. Okay, so in the next video I'll show you how we can create controllers and we are going to see the magic of dependency injection. Now so far, if you have liked this video, give this video a thumbs up. If you have any comments, feel free to share it in the comment section. Share this with your friends and I'll see you in the next video.